You're tuned into news across the galaxy where they talk all things LA Galaxy with the Nag Boys. Let's start nagging.
It is so cold up here.
Bro, I'm literally.
It is cold up here. Welcome to News Across the Galaxy. We talk all things LA Galaxy when they're up top of the fucking league in 2024. I am one of your hosts, Brian Lobos, and I'm joined by two of my co-hosts, Mr. Edgar Zuniga. How you doing, sir?
I'm all right, man. I'm still up here in Canada. As you can hear, I lost my voice, which is a good thing. And it is really fucking cold out there. I mean, for a Californian. But I like this weather. Yeah, man, it's beautiful. And like I was going to say, I'm coming at you from NAG Studio North, baby.
Of course. And my other co-host, Mr. Tony T-Shark Royale. How you doing today, sir?
What up? What
Is
up?
it cold where you're at as well?
Oh, it's super chilly, dude.
It's cold up here, right?
Yeah, man.
It's really cold up here.
Hey, they do say it gets pretty cold at the top of the mountain.
It always does. And before we get into the topic in hand, Edgar, you were actually out in Vancouver.
Yeah, man.
You were one of the road warriors in this weekend. What can you tell us about the road warriors?
Oh man. Well, first of all, Canada. I mean, Vancouver is a beautiful destination. It's different from some of the other places where we might go during the regular season. There's something different about this place. It's beautiful. It's clean. There's so much to do. The locals, for the most part, are very friendly. Even the Vancouver Whitecaps fans, for the most part, they're very friendly. But having everybody here, it's a whole different vibe because it's one thing to see people, at the dig and you have everybody in the paddocks, but being here, it's like everybody bonds and you all go together everywhere. Like the first night I was here, one of my friends who lives out here, him and I were hanging out, and then we found out where everybody was, and then we met up with them, and then we went on a pub crawl throughout the city. And so that was fun. And at some point I spilled beer on myself. And
you don't say.
Yeah, but everybody was having a good time. We all got together and we had dinner, and people were taking photos, and it was just a very good, positive vibe. Everybody was enjoying going around the city and enjoying the nightlife, but everybody also felt you didn't feel any kind of negativity. Like everybody was out here to have a good time, and we were all very hopeful that the Galaxy was going to win. Now, remember, I did predict a loss, but I was still just happy to be here. And then seeing the result, hey, I'm glad to be wrong.
Yeah, of course. And we'll get into the game right now. Tony, how was your weekend, sir? I know Edgar was up north enjoying 3 points away. We enjoyed it out here, but where were you watching the game at?
I was watching it at home, actually. There was a wedding going on, dude, so I was kind of doing a little bit of both at the same time. But yeah, dude, I was just on my phone watching it and stuff, but I'm not gonna lie, I got really plastered, so I kind of forgot most of it. So I had to rewatch the game today in the morning.
Beautiful. I know Chewy's off camera, and I forgot to mention that he's on the ones and twos. Thank you once again, Chewy, for being the ultimate ones and twos.
Of course.
Edgar mentioned being the away fans. I seen this post. I want to say it was by an @Chris something on Twitter, and my fault for not remembering the name, but I saw you guys atop of the BC Palace, which is making a ruckus.
BC Place, yeah.
BC Place,
yeah,
making a ruckus. Tell us more about that.
That was fun, dude. They let us into the stadium probably like a couple hours before the game started. And BC Place is a lot different than the dig, right? It's something that I noticed the first time I came here 5 years ago. My wife and I came to catch a game against Philly, Vancouver versus Philly, and I thought it was going to be like the dig, where people hang out outside the stadium before the game, but there is no place to tailgate at all. There's a parking lot just to the south of the stadium, and if there is tailgating there, I didn't know about it. But there's like a little plaza in front of the stadium, but it's very small, and it just have like little pop-up tents. But for the most part, the Vancouver fans, they all hang out at local pubs and bars. I know there's one in particular where the Southsiders hang out. That's one of the biggest supporters groups. And but we were all hanging out at this one pub called the Pint, where it's usually Vancouver Canucks and Vancouver Whitecaps fans. But that day it was all Galaxy fans, and then we all congregated, and then we walked down to the stadium. They ushered us inside the stadium into one particular area. We got in there, and if you've never been to BC Place, the images on TV and photos do not do it justice. This place is gorgeous. It's so beautiful. Once you walk out of the tunnel and you get inside, it's just something you cannot describe in words. We went up to our seats. We were in this little corner of the stadium, but because there's like the second levels right above us. When we would yell and sing and chat, it magnified the sound, and that was a lot of fun because it wasn't a huge group, right? It was like 70 of us, but éramos pocos pero locos, and you could hear us, man. And as people started filling into the stadium, people started taking notice of us. And there was a group of kids. It's not AYSO because it's not the American Youth Soccer Organization. It's another one, but there were a bunch of group of kids like near us, and they made it a lot of fun because they started chanting at us, and we were going back and forth with them during the game. But I'm getting ahead of myself. But it was just a lot of fun. This place is gorgeous. We walked around the stadium during the concourse before, and we were meeting Vancouver Whitecaps fans who were, like I said, they're very friendly for the most part, and a lot of them were happy that that we were friendly as well, and we got along with them. So that was fun. A couple of us ran into the the Whitecaps mascot, and we took photos with him, and it was just a wonderful time. Very positive experience. Personally, I got the opportunity to meet our good friend of the show, Nathan Derrick. He was up in the press box. I went up
Shout
to
out to
him.
Nathan. Yeah.
Yeah,
Shout out to Nathan.
shook his hand, and he was really happy to see me, and we were chit chatting, and so that was really nice, man. My personal experience, I really enjoyed it. It's something where you talk to some of the people that came here, and this is even before the result, even before the game started. People are already saying this is a annual destination. Is something that they're looking forward to doing again in the future.
Yeah, of course. And I think I've talked about this. I've had these Twitter chats where I'm of the person who thinks that when you have a winning team, you're going to bring people into the stadium. And when you bring people into the stadium, you're going to have some type of camaraderie with everybody else that comes into the stadium, and maybe have a chat with away fans. Maybe like you did right now with Nathan when you were there. And those are the things that is beautiful about the sport. MLS, for whatever reason, I know it might not be everybody's cup of tea, but here when we live it, we like to interact with other fans from around the world, not around the world, but like around MLS, and it's beautiful to see that.
Yeah, and that's how it should be. Because I keep telling people, MLS is a community. It's not just your team. We're a community. I mean, there are some exceptions, and you know what I'm talking about. But for the most part, MLS is a community, and you can go to any city and you see an MLS fan. It's like that Spider-Man meme where you're like,
Yeah,
ah.
yeah, yeah. And shout out to Nathan from Terminal City FC podcast. We had a great midweek talk, and we may have said some things that we might regret right now because the LA Galaxy did come up with 3 points. But before we get into that, Tony, where did you watch the game, sir?
I watched it today in the morning.
I
watched it today in the morning because I knew the outcome and I saw the goals yesterday. But again, I don't even know how I went to sleep, So,
hey, those are the most beautiful moments when you don't remember, but it was a great sleep.
Oh yeah, great sleep, dude. Woke up, I was like, yeah, let's watch the game.
So I ended up watching the game at Gastro Boulevard, the Boulevard Gastro Pub in Compton. It's a viewing party for any Galaxy fan that's around the area. Great times, great food, great energy. I saw people from Outlaws. I saw a couple of randoms. Everybody was there. After that, though, today I was actually at the Blue, White, and Gold pop up.
Nice.
Chewy, if you could pop up the flyer, I want to give the shout out to everybody that was there. Let's start with the vendors. 1-2 Threads, shout out. This is one of their new stuff. We'll show it later. Here you go. Very dope hats.
Nice.
They always have great stuff. Moving Silencio, they're always there. Z-Pot Lady, FQ USA, they have great stuff as well. Sad Girl Sisters, Galaxy
Nice.
Art Fire, Code Red Rugs. I saw some of the rugs, they were really cool. Gudino Art, shout out to the homie Gudino Art. He has great original work and great prints. Galactic Outpost, Deviants Customs, shout out to Moy. He has some big ass Galaxy signs made out of metal. I did not know how the fuck he made that shit, 'cause those are really big.
Nice.
Girl with Beads and Gems, Luis Vela Arts, Bover Prints, Cousin Fell. Shout out to Cousin Fell. Shout out to Esquadron. If you guys need some of those jerseys, I'll post them up. They're really cool. Angel City, of course, Galaxy Outlaws, the Galaxians, Lars, Mimi's Birria, Chef Mendoza, and Footpool America. And of course, the DJ was popping in that pop-up. One of the things that I loved about these pop-ups, I was there for one of the first ones that they had in East LA. I forget what school it was. It was an elementary. But just having this community thing happening with us Galaxy fans, I think that's a big thing. It brings the casual fan to come out and meet people that they haven't met, and it gives the opportunity for these creative brands to just put out their work when it comes to the Galaxy. And that's one of the things that I love about this community. I think we're very tight knit, and I think the stuff that we make when it comes to gear and stuff like that, it's always been it's been excellent. Like, I'm wearing the hat, like, it's beautiful. No, you guys, any thoughts?
No, I mean, I knew the pop-up was happening today, but I had already planned to be up here for the duration of the weekend. But I kind of had that slight little, feeling at the edge of my consciousness, of fear of missing out, the FOMO. And I was like, damn, I wish I was there so I could see, some of the wonderful things that some of these amazing creatives we have with the LA Galaxy. We're blessed to have this, by the way. I've said it many times, especially during the pandemic. We had a secondary market with LA Galaxy fans where you can get stuff that you will never see at the stadium, because this is something that people do. They put their own creativity, their own imagination and love and work into this, and you get these things that are unique you won't find anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, 100%. And of course, we have our own creative with Tony. He was one of our first guys that gave us our original logo. And shout out to you, Tony. You gave us a great ass, Tony. Yeah, you gave us a great ass logo.
Yeah, man. I just love Galaxy, dude, and I want to be a part of it. So and look at me now. I'm over here actually in the podcast.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And I do want to give a shout out to Moy, because I did see his work. He posted it. I wasn't able to go to the pop up, but I saw the work that he did, dude, and it was pretty much like a replica of like the sign that they have at the stadium. It was pretty amazing. And
handmade. This man puts in mad work, and you guys check him out. For those of you that are listening to this later on, rewind it so you guys could hear all the bands that were there. All right, the LA Galaxy went up to Vancouver this weekend after losing a controversial game against our noisy neighbors, going up against the team that's the top of the West and kind of wanting another win. Gentlemen, before I give you guys a lineup, what were your feelings going into this match after losing against our noisy neighbors? I'm gonna go with you first, Tony.
Honestly, dude, I thought we were gonna scathe with like at least a tie. I thought it was gonna be like a 2-2 game. It was 1-1 game. I wasn't expecting a win per se, but I know we weren't gonna. I felt like we weren't gonna lose at least. Because I was like, nah, we can't. We got to rebound. We got to pretty much put our foot down and be like, yo, we're not no one to fuck with. Like we're still here, guys. Like this wasn't just a fluke or whatever. And that was my thoughts before when I saw the lineup.
Yeah, and we went into last week undefeated. They broke the streak, and of course you want to bounce back, right, Edgar?
Oh yeah, definitely. Um, I know we discussed what happened at again the match against LAFC last Sunday, and I was I kind of had that attitude where I felt like if the team had played better, then that officiating decision wouldn't have been such a big deal. And because I was upset that they lost in the manner they did, I was like, I felt that they did not put their best foot forward, that it was kind of half-assed. But when I, as the week progressed and I started seeing some of the evidence behind the decision to give them that penalty kick, and when I heard the audio of the exchange, I don't know if anybody's heard this, but it's out there. You can hear the audio exchange between the referee and the VAR, and the VAR is telling him, this guy literally was diving before contact, stuck his leg out to hit Yamane, who was like sliding to block the ball, not him. And the VAR is suggesting this is not a penalty. And the guy was like, well, let me see it again. And then you can hear the guy sound pretty upset that the VAR is going against him. And after repeated attempts for the VAR to convince him otherwise, at the end of the guy says, well, I'm not changing my mind. It's a penalty on the, as I said. And so at that point, it's exactly what Herc said. Remember our good buddy Herc? He said, it's an ego thing.
Yeah,
it's an ego thing at this. It's an ego trip, right? And you would expect something better at this level with the professionalism from the pro refs, right? But then you get scumbags like this guy who, if you look back, that didn't have as much experience as the referee we got the previous game against Seattle. So you're gonna get that wide berth between guys that have a lot of experience and guys that don't. So man, I was upset at that point. And then I was looking at this game and I had predicted a loss because it looked to me like Vancouver was flying high. If they smashed Toronto, that's one of their big rivals up here. And so I felt they're playing at home, and Galaxy always has a really hard time up here. But something happened on the way up here. It had been raining the whole week. And the day we all arrived, we brought the sunshine.
Ooh.
And my friend who lives up here, he was like, you know what? It's been raining for a while and it's been kind of gloomy and dreary. And as soon as you guys got here, you guys brought the sunshine. It's nice and warm. The girls are out wearing, skimpy little outfits. And yeah. And so, I was like, this is a good sign. I heard that they were going to open up the roof at BC Place, which is beautiful. I don't know if Chewy can share some photos. I sent some photos to him. You guys can see what it looks like, but it all pointed to like the kind of weather we normally have in LA. And I felt like it's just going to feel like a home game for the boys. Maybe this is a good sign of things to come. So that gave me a sense of optimism going into the game. So yeah.
One of the things that I was, because we had this decade of PTSD where when something positive comes towards the LA Galaxy on the pitch, you always expect the worst after, right? You get a win, because it was about time we had a win. We ended up losing last week, got the undefeated streak broken, and those storylines always take into place, right? Where when you face a rival with the undefeated streak, they're always going to take that from you. What I really wanted to see was the bounce back. And coming into this game, I was a little hesitant to believe that the outcome that happened last night was going to happen, just because of, as I mentioned earlier, the PTSD that we had with the LA Galaxy, having to have so many positive things go one way for a moment, and it gets taken, the rug gets taken right under our feet, right?
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise. We ended up getting 3 points, but let's get into the lineup. There was not a couple, but one big change into the lineup. And it goes as follows. J Mac, John McCarthy at goal. Julian Alve out left. Mickey Yamane out right. And our center back pairing, the old guys with a combined age of 5,020.
Damn.
Martin Cáceres and Maya Yoshida. which was a different lineup that we had last week. We'll get into why this is very important towards the team and towards the outcome of what this game was. The three in the middle, of course, we had Riqui Puig with the number 10, Gaston Brugman, Mark Delgado. Up top, Joseph Paintsill, Gabriel Peck, and top of the league now with many goals, Dejan Jovic. The big surprise, was it a big surprise? Of course not. Cáceres was supposed to start.
Yeah.
But let me ask you guys, in this match in particular, if Cerrillo would have started, would this game have gone different?
Yeah, definitely. I felt like having Cáceres back there is a return to normalcy of being able to maintain a roster, a starting lineup that you can count on from game in, game out. Until Jalen Neal is back to full health, I feel that you need to depend on either Cáceres or Yoshida. Well, definitely Yoshida, he's a captain, right? But definitely having Cáceres back there is something that you really look forward to because it's a calming presence. And Zabaleta is still out, right? So it's very important that he was in match fitness because let me remind you that as beautiful as the stadium is, it is artificial grass. So, yeah.
Oh, that is a big factor. Tony, this lineup is the regular lineup that you want to see when you want to compete against a team that's a top of the league like Vancouver was.
No.
What was your initial thought with this lineup?
No, definitely, dude. I agree with you guys. This was technically the lineup that has to go out. You know, you were mentioning Cerrillo. Honestly, why would he even put Cerrillo? Why would he even be in a thought? If we have a center back that's actually available and healthy, you have to start that center back in his position. You know, he's there for a reason. So if we got him, then why not play him? And yeah, Cáceres pretty much he's our starter, dude. He is a starter. As of right now, he seems like the starter. So of course he had to play today, especially if he was healthy. And then as far as everybody else, you know, it's expected. I'm already thinking for sure Peck's gonna play over Fagundez, and that's pretty much what's gonna happen. Everybody else stays, you know.
Oof, we're gonna get to Fagundez later on because that he just put up some legendary numbers.
Yes, sir.
But before we get into that, let me give you some first half stats. The LA Galaxy had 73% possession compared to 26 of Vancouver. I think I noticed that in the first 20 minutes where the LA Galaxy was very, very dominant. And it seemed that this team was actually at home. Edgar, you were there. Those first 15 minutes were as I'm calling it.
Yeah, it felt like LA Galaxy wanted to start the game off with the pedal to the metal. They wanted to establish, well, we know with Riqui Puig, you're going to have a lot of possession, but they wanted to try and make something of it. One of the interesting thing was that on the lineup, you look at the starting lineup, right? Gabriel Peck and Paintsill, or obviously, you know, wings, well, they had been inverted. But when you saw them on the field, for a while, they were both playing on that same right side. And it took, at first I didn't notice it until I'm like, hey, what the hell? These both of them on the right side. But it was like they were trying to work this thing. It was kind of like a cartwheel where they just kept rotating them in and out to try to generate some kind of attack. And it led to Gabriel Peck finally getting open to take a shot on goal that was saved by the Vancouver goalkeeper, who I have to say, his name is Takaoka. I'm sorry. He is having a pretty good year. I think he had some issues in the past, Yohei Takaoka, and he's been able to clean up his game, and he's having a pretty good season, which is one of the reasons why Vancouver has such renewed vigor this season. And he was able to make a very good stop. What's to say that goal would have gone in? It would have been a huge shock, but he did what he needed to do, and he made a nice little stop. But at that point, Galaxy was definitely maintaining the control of the game. Now, what ended up happening, and you can ask some of the people in the stands that are with us, is Vancouver kind of slugged things down, and Galaxy was having a really hard time trying to get that offense going. and things started to get, and I hate to use the word, it got kind of boring, but it did. And we started to see Riqui kind of lose his patience a bit because he started to take shots from distance. We started to see him try to force long passes, and of course, they led to turnovers, which thankfully didn't amount to much in the first half. But some of us were kind of groaning and shaking our heads like, no, Ricky, take it, relax. Just keep things simple, man. And it's like if somebody needed to remind him, or maybe he needed to remind himself, maybe he had somebody had told him at some point, like, keep things simple, man. Don't try to force things. Just let the game come to you.
And we'll get into more Ricky talk later on. But yes, continue. My bad. Sorry.
Yeah. No, but I will share with you guys uh what some of the locals told me about Ricky, because last night I was up until 3, 4 in the morning hitting the bars.
4
And,
a.m., sir. You guys,
yeah,
you hit us up in the chat at 4 a.m. talking
and
about I'm cool. No, you're not.
I was wearing my community kit with Riqui Puig on the back, and everywhere I was going, people were telling me things. Like it was just Whitecaps fans. It was some of the locals. I had some girls come up to me and tell me we love LA, and that was cool. It was really cool. And so, and even ran into an LAFC fan who had really nice things to say about Riqui Puig, and I was like, wow, okay. But yeah, it's just at that point, it was Ricky's definitely the key to this offense, and trying to find a way for him to walk that balance where, yes, you have the possession, but what are you going to do with it? And at the same time, making sure that the chances that you get lead to good scoring opportunities, and not just putting your teammate into a situation where he's trapped by 2 or 3 guys and then you have to pass it back or you turn the ball over.
Yeah, which was the case in that first half where I felt that he wasn't finding his game. Like you said, he looked frustrated, and the frustration probably carried over from the last match that he had here in Los Angeles in downtown LA. But aside from that, Tony, that first half, the LA Galaxy looked very dominant. What are some of the things that you did like from that first half, aside from not making a goal? Because let's keep it real, they had chances to try to put one in, but they couldn't. How did you feel about that?
Yeah, no, dude. Literally, the first half that I watched, dude, I was confident, man, because it looked like we were dominating the whole freaking game. Like we were playing keep away with the ball, and I honestly felt like it was just a matter of time before we scored. Because it was like even the defense was on point at the first half. I feel like the second half we kind of got a little bit rockier, but the first half for sure, like we dominated, dude. We didn't let them do anything. We were just controlling the ball. We were trying to get people behind the lines, but if we weren't going through, they'll cycle the ball again and restart. Like it was just a bunch of restarts. That's literally what it was. A bunch of restarts, trying, and nothing came out of it. No goals, but at least I was confident enough that like this game was ours, honestly.
Yeah, no, they did have a few shots. I know at one point, Brian White, who's like their center forward, he did have a shot off his head, which luckily hit the crossbar. And then there's another one where he shot it again, and it just went over the over the over the crossbar as well into the stands. But yeah, before we continue, I just want to point out we do have a super chat. Brian, you want to address that?
Go for it, because I do not have my YouTube.
Okay, Adam, thank you so much for the $5
Yes.
super chat. He
Thank
says, I am glad Vanny did substitutions early in the game compared to other games like last week's game as an example. And I was going to point that out because
We'll point it out later on in the
Yeah.
episode, because I think that's a big up for Vanny. But
yes,
with this,
definitely.
with this first half, one of the things that I wanted to say about this first half, let me give you guys a MLS stat that they actually put out. The Vancouver keeper,
The
Yamane,
wild streets of Vancouver, man. You hear
I
that?
hear it. I hear it. Yamane and Yoshida are the first in MLS 3 born Japanese players who have started in MLS play. And for that, we want to clap for that, because this is what MLS is about. Bringing everything and everybody from every walk of earth to come play in this league and make this league better. With that being
Yes.
said, this first half, yes, the LA Galaxy was very dominant, but it seemed like in the final third, they were very frustrated, because I feel the game plan that Vancouver had was the same exact game plan that our noisy neighbors had last week, where they had to sit in a low block, try to and the thing that impressed me in this first half from Vancouver was that their one-on-ones, specifically with Gabriel Peck, uh, Blackman was not shutting him down, but he didn't let him really do anything on that right side of the pitch. Do you agree with that, Edgar?
Yeah, I was gonna say that uh, Galaxy was having a really hard time. They had the ball, right, and they controlled that midfield. But when they got to the final third, it felt like they're just hitting a wall. And it was we were chanting and we were doing our thing to try to motivate the boys on the field, but it was something palpable. You could feel it, and it's like they're missing just something that can get this thing going. And unfortunately, it wasn't happening. Um, I thought that maybe Vancouver could have been a little bit more aggressive in the way that they handled Riqui Puig, but because we saw that against LAFC, we saw how like they were constantly pushing him and knocking him around, but I didn't see that as much with Vancouver. So maybe at that point. Uh, that gave Ricky Puig the opportunity to try to reset himself, so that way we saw what happened in the second half. But at that up until that point, it just wasn't working.
Yeah. Well, let me give you a little stat with Ricky Puig. He is the most fouled player in the league with 22 fouls conceded. Also, he does have the most touches and the most touches completed. He has 2 goals, 2 assists. With that being said, Tony, a frustrating first half for the LA Galaxy to get anything offensively going. What do you think was missing in that offensive thrust that we try to get into Vancouver?
Oh man, I don't know what it was missing, dude. It's just we couldn't get a shot off, and the shots that we did get off, they were kind of close. Like we had the one with Peck. I think that was a beautiful shot. Luckily, the goalkeeper saved it on their part, but it was just like I don't know, man. It is we just couldn't find it. We just couldn't find that last pass so somebody could shoot. So mostly everything that we had was literally like I don't know. Just I felt like it was they were rushing it or like I don't know. Like they were being patient, but at the same time they were rushing it. I don't even know if that made sense, but yeah,
No,
no.
it does in the sense that when you're the offensive team with the ball in possession, you're always trying to find avenues to make it easier for yourself. We saw in the first half that the LA Galaxy did something similar. I think it was against Kansas City where they kind of shifted to the right and kind of dominated that right side where Peck and Paintsill were on the right. I think it was in KC. It was the game before LAFC. What they were doing is trying to overload that right side and maybe create something from there. What Vancouver did well in that first half was actually just limit the passes that were going through that side,
Yeah.
and they made it very tough for Riqui Puig to try to create anything. I seen a lot of this stuff with Riqui Puig in the first half where he was shifting down to that halfway mark and even below to gather the ball. That's one thing that I do not like about his game at all. But he had to just to try to create something because I think at that point Vancouver was doing such a great job in shutting down lanes and guarding their people one-on-one where they weren't letting the LA Galaxy do anything offensively.
You know who we haven't mentioned at all because he really didn't do much in that first half
Yes.
was a Dejan Jovilic.
There you go.
I think we saw him. I saw him get the ball at one point, and he was able to turn and try to create something, but it didn't lead to anything. But midway through the game, I commented to I think it was Jeffrey who was next to me, and I said, "Hey, when was the last time that Jovilic got the ball? When was the last time he had a touch?" And it's like, I don't know. It's been a while. If you can't get Dejan involved in the offensive scheme, then that tells you something because he's just supposed to be able to get open and get in a position where he can just get that little tap in or maybe get a ball where he's just running in to try to score it because that's what we have come to expect with having Peck and Paintsill try to generate some offense for him. But no, he wasn't even able to find the space to get open. So that was a bit troubling. It was frustrating. So at the half, I don't know. It was like the sense of like, well, you know what? At least Vancouver hasn't scored yet, so we're still in it. Um, I felt like with the prediction that I made, I was feeling a little bit better. I was like, oh, I expected us to lose, but you know, nothing's happened yet. So maybe we'll see some fireworks in the second half. And boy, did we see some
Lo
fireworks.
and behold, second
Um,
half starts.
Yo, but
yeah,
I do gotta say this, Edgar. It's not that Jovic wasn't in the right positions. It's just that the balls weren't getting to him,
yeah,
because
that's what I'm saying. But
they were shutting down everything, dude.
yeah,
He was making the runs. He was in the space, but nothing was getting fed because nothing was going through. So he was still trying, but
yeah.
it's a matter of fact that the defense from Vancouver was literally like blocking every pass that was getting through there.
Yeah, and this I'm gonna give you a quick peek though at a different point of view because Nathan messaged me during the game and he said, "What a very odd first half." He's like, and so for him to say that, you could tell that from the Vancouver Whitecaps point of view, they wanted to do a lot more than they did. They wanted to make their mark on the game, and even they had a really difficult time. Which credit to that Galaxy defense, which uh, does a fantastic job during the game, but on set pieces, and we're gonna get into that.
We'll get into
Damn.
it because I kind of want to do defend that rhetoric of yes, the LA Galaxy is bad at set pieces, but we'll get into it then. In that first half, the LA
Oh, hold on
Galaxy,
a second.
yeah,
Sorry, we have another super chat.
yeah, of course,
Super chat from Adam. Thanks, Adam. That's two. And he says, I said this on Instagram, but a shout out to J Mac McCarthy.
yeah, of course.
He
He might get an award. Spoiler
He
alert.
might get an award.
He might get an award.
might is an
Uh,
understatement, dude.
All right, go on, Brent.
so, some of the full thoughts from Nathan Derrick from Terminal FC. I'm gonna read them off from his Twitter. Full time thoughts. For 35 minutes in the second half, Vancouver was dominant. We could agree with that. His second thought was ball watching led to 2 Galaxy goals. Third thought, Galaxy took their chances better than the Caps. Next thought, results bring Caps players, coaches, fans back down to earth. We can address that question later.
Mhm.
And then he also says a long season. Table this one and start anew. From those final thoughts from somebody who follows the Vancouver Whitecaps right now that we're listening to at the half, is that something that you agree with? Seeing how the final score is?
Tony? Wait, Brent.
No, dude, not for me, man. Well, I mean, I can't really speak for a Vancouver fan because I'm not a Vancouver fan, dude. But
Yeah.
like if I'm speaking for myself, like I mentioned earlier, dude, like for us, we were dominating, dude. I wasn't really worried with like us getting scored. For me, it was a matter of time before we scored.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with that because in the first half, we seen a not a frustrated Ricky, but he was trying to put through balls where the defense was there already. It seemed like in the second half, in that first goal, the defense opened up a little bit. I know you were at the stadium, Edgar. How did that play build up for you watching it live?
Well, before we get into that, I wanted to shed some light on the the thoughts of the Vancouver Whitecaps fans because I was paying close attention to the crowd and how they were acting before the game started. The sense was, you're in our house and we're on top of the league and we're going to beat you. And you can respect that because if you play to win, especially at home. And so the Whitecaps players, you could tell that they wanted to go out and they wanted to put their stamp on the game and establish themselves as the team to beat in this game. When that first half ended scoreless, you could tell they were frustrated just as much as the Galaxy players were frustrated because they had wanted to do the same. But so you had two teams that, they're fighting for first. And you could tell that something was going to happen. Something had to give in that second half. Now, going back to what you mentioned, when that goal finally came, oh man, what a nice release because we were getting a lot of guff from some kids that were sitting near us, right?
I love it.
Because at one point we were like, okay, we're chanting and nothing's happening, and we were kind of like, you get tired, right? And then the kids started chanting to us. They kept saying, "Get," they're like, dun, 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 "Get a life, da, 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 get a life." And so then we were chanting back, "Get a job,
Yeah.
get a job." And so when we would do that, like Galaxy, and they were like, "Sucks,
Yeah.
like Galaxy sucks." So then we started chanting back to the kids, "Watch your language."
Yeah. Great
Watch your
banter, by the way. That's great
Yeah,
banter.
it was fun, and the kids are great. But yeah, when that goal finally came in, we're like, yeah. We're like telling the kids, shh.
And listen, when that goal came in, I believe De Jong in that first half probably only had like 1 or 2 touches. And then
Yeah.
him just being at the right place at the right time. I know you listen, there's a lot of people that criticize Dejan Joveljic for not being the forward that they want to see making plays, creating whatever he does, but he is there at the right time and at the
He
right
did it.
moment.
Yeah.
What else do you want from a forward? Everybody who is a fan of Chicharito, who we had on the team, is basically giving shit to De Jong, who does the same thing and is perhaps a little bit quicker on his step.
Well,
I was
And right
just
now-
about to say that, dude.
Yes, and right
Well,
now
let me,
he has 6 goals in the league and at top of the Golden Boot race
okay. Well, let me tell you what
with
it is.
other forwards. Yes, sir.
This is what we're seeing, because there was a sense of frustration, right, with the way Joveljic had his season last year. What we're seeing this year is not 2022 Dayon, who was doing incredible things. We used to say he was creating something out of nothing, right? This Dayon is different. This is an evolved version of Dayon, where things are a little bit more simple, where all he has to do is just be able to find the spaces and get into the right spot so that his teammates can feed on the ball and he can score, which is what we just saw. So we have just seen Dayon go to a transformation, and sometimes transformations, evolutions don't happen overnight. So you're seeing a player that's literally changing the whole style of his game so it fits Vanny ball, and he's able to be a productive member of the club. And obviously, it's frustrating because you want to see him play with the same flair that he did in the past, but maybe that doesn't work for this team. And so he's just doing what he needs to do to put the ball in the net. And hey, it's working out for him.
That's exactly what he did at the 56th minute.
I just wanted to say this, dude. I just wanted to say this real quick. To me, dude, it's perfect that you mentioned Chicharito, because that's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, dude, he's pretty much playing like a Chicharito, because that's what Chicharito does. He's like, they call him a poacher or whatever you want to call him, dude. I don't care what you want to call him, dude. This guy knows where to be, where the ball's gonna land. He knows, like, he just sees the play, the pitch. He sees everything different. So I'm not, I'm pretty sure Dejan Joveljic learned a lot from him while Chicharito was in the team. Because I'm pretty sure he was teaching him, like, oh, why are you going to be here when you could just be here? Because he's going to kick the ball and it's probably going to bounce over here. Too. Things like that. Things that make a striker that much better, dude. Because if you could score goals on your own, just imagine if you perfect those little things that make you that much better, which is the tap-ins. And I mean, I don't care how he scores, dude. As long as Joveljic keeps doing what he's doing, I'm all for it, dude.
Yeah, 100%. And I think a lot of people, it gets past them, that fact that it doesn't matter how you put the ball in, as long as it goes back in the net and you're able to get 3 points, that's what counts. And week in and week out, Dejan Joveljic has shown this season, in particular 2024, that he could put it in the back of the net, especially now that he has confidence from his wingers, who are DPs, Gabriel Peck, Joseph Painso, and of course, his running mate with Riqui Puig. You give him the ball, he could do something with it. Just give him the trust and give him the confidence. And he has that confidence right now. Let's support our guy. I know you guys want a new forward, but that's our guy right now. Let's keep it real. But let's hop into something that I actually wanted to get to, because it's a weakness in the LA Galaxy. We talked about this. Set pieces. We got scored on. They tied the game. Brian White. Shout out to Brian White, because he's actually a pretty good forward. He's a good forward.
Yeah.
Vancouver, till that point, let me give you the corner stats. It was 10-7 in total. before Brian White scored that set piece, the LA Galaxy was tested early with a bunch of set pieces. The LA Galaxy has been scored on the most on set pieces. I want to say like 8 goals. Before that goal came in, I think the LA Galaxy was doing pretty solid on those set pieces. Do you think I'm wrong in assuming that, Edgar?
No, it's something that obviously they needed to work on. If we're pointing it out, right, and we're not down there as part of the coaching staff, these guys are definitely drilling their players. We got to do something about this. We got to do something about this. But when you're going to give up that many opportunities on set pieces, and it has long been an issue for you, one is going to get to the cracks. And this time it did. And credit to Brian White. That was a good shot. I mean, we've seen this, like you said, he's a good forward. He's very hungry, he's very adamant. He has a lot of energy. And he was able to get his head on the ball. And all of a sudden, you're like, oh, shit.
I mean, and what are you thinking, too? Because that goal that they got on us literally came in right after they did the subs, right? The subs were just like barely in there for a moment. And we just scored on. Like, what are your thoughts after that? Are you like, oh my god, we're probably gonna freaking tie this shit? Or like,
well,
what are you thinking?
In my mind, I'm thinking like, oh my goodness, we got on board. We got on scoreboard with those fellas that just left the game.
Yeah,
I wonder where we're gonna get some offense because, I mean, it changed the whole atmosphere of the stadium too. Because all of a sudden, those kids started yelling at us, and the fans. Because we were separated by a tarp, but they were still Vancouver fans around us, and a lot of them started yelling at us and booing us, and we were just like, just keep doing our chants and come on, let's go, let's go, boys.
Well, the subs that Tony's talking about. Before you get to your thought, the subs that Tony's talking about at the 74th, Gaston Brumen comes out, Edwin Serio comes in. To me, I think that's a Vanny play to try to keep the score to 1-0. He also takes out Gabriel Peck and puts in Diego Fagundez. When those subs came in, you would have automatically thought, hey, maybe we could just keep the ball, keep possession, maybe defend their counter. Yeah. And then, of course, they come in, Brian White, on a set piece. Even though the LA Galaxy had been defending the set pieces pretty well until that moment, he comes in at the 70th minute, 77th minute. He doesn't come in, but like he comes in and scores a goal. He comes into the box and scores a goal on us. Yeah. And go ahead, Tony. You had your thought.
No, I was just gonna say, dude. You know what kind of sucks, man? The fact that like pretty much most of the goals that we got scored on are set pieces, right? So it's kind of, I feel like it's like a PTSD thing going on now with that. It's like, oh, dude, it's a freaking corner kick. Shit, like I don't want to see, Yeah. Like I'm kind of nervous now. Every freaking time they're gonna get a corner kick.
But it is a big difference from last week, where last week the first set piece that the Noisy Neighbors had, it was a goal. It took Vancouver maybe 4 or 5 set pieces for them to actually get one. And it goes back to the starting position with Serio not starting and having Cáceres there, who's more of a veteran presence in that box.
Yeah. Yeah. A bigger body too.
Yeah. And a bigger body. They got one on us. At that moment, I was actually good with a tie. We had the midweek show where I even called a tie. This is a very good Vancouver team. We've seen it in the first half. They were able to defend us properly in the low block, and their one-on-ones, they were winning them beautifully against us. But in the 80th minute, there was a beautiful, orgasmic through ball by one Riqui Puig, who has gotten flack from us a bunch of times, especially from me. How would you describe that in the stadium, Edgar?
Oh man, there was a gasp from the crowd. I mean, because it's one of those things where I mentioned, like, he tries this so much, right, to get that long pass, and a lot of times you see it end up in a turnover. But my God, when he finally gets one of those things, it's a thing of beauty. It's like, mwah, right? And so the fans, you hear everybody go, if Pencil gets on the end of it, it was like a matter of like, okay, he's gonna score, but how's it gonna get in? And he's obviously scored, and the reaction from us is just like immediate jubilation, this explosion of happiness because at that point, some of us thought, oh, it's going to end in a draw, and that's fine. But all of a sudden, you're like, no, hell no, it's a goal, baby. Let's go. And the Vancouver fans were booing us again.
Yeah, of course,
Man.
as they should.
As they should.
As they should. Tony, that through ball came in. And I believe before that through ball came in, I think Vancouver had a couple chances where they could have probably scored on us. I know J-Mac had one error that he actually saved, and I think that was before. I think that was before the tying game.
Yeah.
Before, right?
Yeah.
But when that second goal came in, Tony.
Oof, man, it was beautiful. It was a work of art, dude. Like that man, I don't know. And then Painsel's fast as hell, dude. So he's like, you just give him the ball, freaking, I don't know how many yards ahead of him, and he's gonna freaking get there, dude. And also like praise him, dude, because the confidence and the pretty much the maturity that he had with that ball to score like that. He was very calm on the ball, dude. Instead of like trying to blast it, he's like just saw his open spot and he just literally fucking kicked it. Man. Yeah. He didn't have to do anything crazy, he just that was very very I guess smart of him to do.
Yeah,
Joseph Pencil, right?
Yep, Joseph Pencil, like his song says, unbreakable. At that moment, he wasn't, the moment wasn't too big for him, and it didn't take long for another goal to come in with the LA Galaxy. Again, Riqui Puig put Joseph Pencil on the through ball, and this is where I mentioned in the midweek show that if we were going to be successful against a Vancouver team who plays three in the back, it would have to be on the wings, and it would have had to be either Joseph Pencil or Gabriel Peck. At that moment, it was Fagundez. Third goal comes in because of that through ball that Riqui gave to Joseph Pencil, and Joseph Pencil said, "Here you go, Fagundez. This is your legendary moment right here.
Serve it to him on a silver platter.
Here you go. Get your
Beautiful.
70th goal to go along with your 70th assist." And I think that's the longest streak as active players, if I'm correct. On that play, you at the stadium, Edgar. I know the game was a little tight at that moment. Maybe some doubts that we were going to get tied. And then the LA Galaxy comes in and says, nah, I think we're the best team in the West.
Well, to be honest, when Pencil scored the goal that put him up, I felt like he completely flipped the script because at that point the game was on the edge of a knife. It could have gone either way. All of a sudden, Pencil scores on that beautiful pass on Puig, and the Vancouver fans were stunned. It's like if you're in a fight and someone pops you in the nose, all of a sudden you're like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
And so they were kind of groggy, and then boom, here comes this nice gut punch by Pencil, and then you follow that up with the goal by Fagundez, and I don't know why I got the premonition something was going to happen, but I actually recorded the goal live. It's on Twitter, and I think I'm gonna post it later on Instagram or somewhere where you guys see it in better quality. But you could hear our reaction. We're like, ah! And like you see the reaction from the fans. And at that point, the Vancouver fans started leaving the stadium.
Beautiful.
It broke them, and they went from this overwhelming sense of optimism that they were going to handle the LA Galaxy to a very crushing defeat. And I'm gonna illuminate more on that later on because my interaction with fans after the game and then throughout the night. But this was a very crushing and humbling defeat for this Vancouver team. And the way it happened with Riqui Puig having a gem of a second half, you could hear just their hearts breaking in the stands. And the little kids were like booing us. And I don't know what got into me, but I started doing this to them.
It's past your bedtime.
And then I was like this, and I was like, and then we started chanting, it's past your bedtime. It's past your bedtime.
Beautiful, beautiful. I do want to give a shout out to Miguel Betty, who did come in at the 79th minute.
Oh, good.
Before, but hey, listen, at that moment, he may not have had a big part in the offense, but he did not cause a mistake.
You know what I saw about him? You know, I was thinking about him earlier today because when I was watching him run, that dude chugs like
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
chugging along.
he's just a big
So
body.
I just feel like he's chugging along. Yeah, one of the defenders, you know, that are assigned to him are like watching him. They're like, "Hey, come on, hurry up, get to me!" And in that moment, there's like that space, and then somebody comes in that's faster, like a winger, and that's when they score. So,
Hey,
And
now,
then
but credit to him though, because for that third goal that we scored, he was the reason why he pulled the defenders, dude, and gave that open space
exactly.
to Fagundez.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
what I was trying to
So
say.
Yep.
yeah, so he pushed the turbo button. He's like, okay, let me run faster, and he started running faster, and he just pulls those two center backs and leaves the back right open just for Fagundez to like not tap it in, pretty much.
I mean,
That
running
dude's
faster is kind of a stretch, though.
That dude runs like Wario, dude.
But he did what he had to do, and I think he's bought into what the system is. He knows he's not that guy, and when he does come in, it's just to cause chaos inside the box, and that's exactly what he did. He's a big body, and for a big body, you either gotta double him or put a big guy on him. And for that third goal, he pulled Mark, and Fagundez was easily just able to tap that in. Shout out to Fagundez, 70 goals,
Yeah.
70 assists. In MLS, those are legendary numbers. This man has been playing here since he was like 16, right?
Yeah, he was a discovery player. Yeah,
He is an MLS legend, and we have that guy on our bench.
yes,
I think we've said this before. The fact that we have this man off the bench is a plus for this LA Galaxy team, which we've never had this type of depth ever. Well, not since the 2014 years. And we have him now. And you could see the impact that he has automatically coming into the pitch. Peck could be better than him technically, and maybe he's younger and faster. But when you bring in somebody as a veteran like Diego Fagundez, you know you're going to go in there and just game over.
just a
3-1.
reminder that
Yeah.
awesome fans were ready to riot when he was transferred to the LA Galaxy. So just to show you how much they appreciate him. And Austin has been a complete and utter mess since he left the squad. So
Well, thank you. Thank you for giving those.
yeah,
So the LA Galaxy end up going to BC Place, taking 3 points, coming home with a 3-1 victory. And there's still a lot of argument on the internet because of one Riqui Puig.
let me settle that, man.
Settle it, please.
All right, let me settle it. Okay, because the game ended. Joshua Ray, who is Nathan Durek. Like I said, Nathan Durek is our buddy from Terminal City Pod, right? And his co-host is Joshua Ray. He also covers the Whitecaps. And he wrote, this game showed why Riqui Puig is one of the best in the league. And so you heard it from him, right? He's up in the press box. And then we got out of the stadium. And we started, some of us went back to one bar, and other people went to their hotel rooms. But like I said, I have a friend who lives here, and I met up with his friends, and we started bar hopping. And as I was going around the town, I was wearing my Riqui Puig shirt. I started running into different locals. And at one point, I ran into some guys, and they were like, "Were you at the game?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they were like, "Man, that Riqui Puig, what an amazing player, man. You guys are so lucky to have him." And I was like, "Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it." I ran into some Latino Americanos, right? And then one of them came up to me and says, "Were you at the game?" I was like, "Yeah, definitely. I was there too." And he's like, "Qué joya ese Riqui Puig. Es una joya lo que tienen ahí. Qué suerte de jugador, qué jugador tan tremendo." And I was like, "Wow, gracias." We went to this one bar. It was like a lot of young kids, and there was these two really cute girls there, and they waved me down, which I was like, I'm an older guy. What the hell do you want with me? And they're like, "We were at the game." And I'm like, "All right." And they're like, "Let's go LA. We love LA." And I was like, "Yeah, thank you." And they're like, "We love Riqui Puig." And I was like, "Wow, that's awesome." And I'm like, "Where are you guys from?" And one of them's like, "Well, I was originally from Texas, but now I live here." And the other one is, "I'm from Toronto. And, but we love LA Galaxy. We were cheering for you guys." And I was like, "Wow, okay, thank you. Um, and then the funniest thing was like I ended up at this one bar at 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. I forgot what time it was, but uh, I ran into an LAFC fan, and he saw my shirt and he's like, Galaxy, blah 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 blah. And I was like, okay. I was like, who do you cheer for? He goes, LAFC, and I'm like, that's strange. Like, and he's like, well, I used to live in Pasadena. And our conversation started shifting back and forth, but it was very respectful, which was, it's hard to come by, right? But then he started saying, that guy you have in your shirt. He was like, what an amazing player, man. Galaxy really got a good one with him. He said the same thing the other guy said. Es una joya. This guy is a jewel. And I saw him play today, and what an amazing pass he made. He's only going to get better. So this is what we're going to say. We have an amazing player, and if people from the outside looking in keep saying these things, we have to start believing it. But at the same time, we have to understand that Riqui's a young guy. He's going through a period of maturation, and he's learning what he can and he cannot do. A lot of times that comes with growing pains. So that means we're going to see him experiment with the things he can or cannot do. And sometimes it's not going to work out, and it can be frustrating. But in the end, we're going to have something spectacular that we're going to talk about for years to come. So I know I've been one of the guys that's criticized him, but these are things that he can remedy because he's young. It's all up to him. But when he gets it right, my God, he gets it right. And it's something you can put up in an art museum.
And there's some other things that I can agree with. In this match in particular, like you said, we've been critical of him in this show. He hasn't been to the standard that we believe he could be. He hasn't been to the standard where he's called himself an MVP. But I've mentioned this before. The reason why he's making mistakes, and it's not a bad thing right now, is because it's early in the season. Right now, he's catching his little form. He's catching his strides. And in this particular match, he trusted his other DP. Imagine that. He trusted his other players. We haven't been able to say that in last couple of seasons. He was able to get Joseph Painsil in a beautiful through ball that I think should be play of the week, because that was just a gorgeous through pass. And then the second one puts him in space, knowing who he has on his wings. Those are things that he's going to keep learning and keep progressing from. Now, I also understand the other side of that camp, where he does create a lot of turnovers and he does lose a lot of balls. I get that. But in this particular match, he was stellar. Tony, what do you think?
He was amazing, dude. He freaking I gotta say though, like I guess we always criticize him. In the first half, he was trying, he was going in deep into the defense to get the ball, and like so he wasn't really like in the mix of it all, you know what I mean? Because he was coming in too deep for the balls. But so we always worry about the passes that he gives throughout the middle, because when he loses it, like he puts us in really bad spots every time he loses it. Like if he loses it, we're kind of like, oh shit, like what's going to happen? But when he doesn't do that, and when he plays really good too, when he plays like what we know he could play, he gives really beautiful balls, dude. Like that vision, that like you said, you know, that trust in Painsil to know where he's gonna be or supposed to be, or even how fast he could run. Like I don't know, man. Like it was just beautiful, man. But literally both the two last goals that we scored were pretty much identical in the sense that they were both the same pass, and it was just pretty much Painsil just had more people in front of him, so he had to give the pass. You know what I mean? It wasn't a one-on-one.
Yeah, it was one of the things that I mentioned in the midweek show, that if we were able to beat Vancouver on their 3 black line, it was going to be through the wings. And in those last 2 goals with Riqui and Painsil, the mind connection, the whatever it was, they were on the same page. And
those are two best players in our roster, honestly. I believe that strongly.
And we'll talk about it later. Who is our best player? Maybe not in this episode, because we still have a lot of season left to go, and we've seen different players step up. We've seen Joveljic score his goals in the first 5. We've seen Riqui Puig do what he did last night. We've seen Joseph Painsil do what he does, and we've seen Gary Pelke do what he does. I think the verdict is still out who's our best player in the LA Galaxy, but as of right now, everybody on the offensive side, in particular in this game, they all showed up to work. It might not have been fancy where you're dancing all over the defense from the Vancouver Whitecaps, but Joseph Painsil, Gabriel Peck, Dejan Joveljic, Riqui Puig, they put on their hard hats on last night and said, let's go to work. And it wasn't just them. Even the defense stepped up.
Yep.
Yeah, I just want to say that I think this is from start to finish. I think is one of the probably the best game LA Galaxy has had this entire season. You can point to the game in San Jose, but I feel like against a quality opponent, the result that they got tonight. I mean, not tonight, yesterday. This is the best game they have played all season, and this is the kind of performance that they needed to defeat a team like Vancouver. Now, I told you about what people were saying about Riqui Puig, during my travel across downtown Vancouver. But another thing I kept hearing from the Vancouver Whitecaps fans was they were really down on themselves. They kept saying, "Oh, we suck, we're trash," and I was like, "No,
Not
you're
at all.
not." I was like,
Not at
"I
all.
was like, you guys have a." I kept telling you guys have a fantastic team. I was like, "You guys are strong. You're gonna be in the playoffs, and you're gonna make some noise." It's just Galaxy happened to win today, but don't think that your team is trash. I was like, I want you to say that you have a good team because I want our team to be the best, and to be the best, you gotta beat the best.
Yeah.
And
Yo, Edgar, you just got to tell them it's not that you guys suck. It's just that you're not as good as us.
that's trying to be humble, I'm not trying to start any fires here. But in the end, right? I think that they're a team that we definitely have to keep an eye on. I know Galaxy's going to play them again later this season at the Dig, so it'll be interesting to see where they are later in the season and come across that test. Remember 2 weeks ago, I said the Galaxy has two big tests coming up. One is LAFC and one is Vancouver, and then we'll see how good this team really is. Against LAFC, they kind of beat themselves, and then the referee just put an end to that, right? That just ruined everything. So it's angry. I mean, it's a very angry situation where they could have done better, and the ref didn't help things. Fine. But against Vancouver, my God, they passed through with flying colors, and I have to say at this point, I really think that this really is a good Galaxy team at this point, because a statement win like this on the road in a place where they've had difficulty playing against a good manager, against a good team, gotta give it up, man.
Yeah, you do.
Is the Galaxy there yet? That's the question we've been saying. Like,
Are they back?
are we back? Are we back? Yes, at this point, they're definitely back. We're deep enough into the season where you could tell which teams are going to be in the playoffs or not, or which teams are going to push for the playoffs. And we're back, man. We're back. We're not back to MLS Cup. Here we go, number 6. But we're definitely back in the conversation of teams that are going to be fighting for an MLS Cup or a playoff spot for sure.
How about this? We're coming. We're not back, but we're coming.
We're on our way.
We're competitive now. That's what
There we
it
go.
is.
I think
We're
that's
definitely on our way.
yeah, and I
How's
think
that?
a lot of people, a lot of the teams in MLS respect what the Galaxy has right now. Years past, they'd be like, "Oh, it's a Galaxy game. Let's fill the seats up. That's about it. We could probably beat this team." Right now, it's more of a let's actually watch some film on these guys. Let's see how I can slow down Painsil. Let's see how I can slow down Peck. Let's see if we can limit Joveljic's touches. Let's see if we could knock Puig around. And in this game, it was all of the above, but the LA Galaxy prevailed because of the brilliance of one Riqui Puig. And because of that brilliance, we're going to get into some awards. But we're going to start off with the bad awards. Tony, who was your Game is Off award, sir?
Game is Off award. This one's a tough one. But I'm going to have to say, oh, man, I don't even know, honestly. I'm going to say right back. Alde.
Right back, Mickey Yamane.
Oh, never mind. Left back.
Left back.
Sorry.
Julian Alden.
Yeah.
All right. Julian Alden.
I just honestly, it's hard to choose anybody because I don't think anybody really played bad. They all had good games, but there was just sometimes where he would lose a ball and then he would leave the back line pretty much 3 in the back, But other than that, there was really nothing that I could say that was bad. Honestly, like I'd rather give it to myself. I don't know.
Edgar, who's your game us off award?
That's a really good question because I just told you guys who I felt like this is the most complete game, the best game this team has played the entire season. I really don't know what to say. I don't know. I don't know. I have no one. I don't feel anybody's game is off because to win in an environment like this against a quality opponent, everybody's game needed to be on. And whatever mistakes were made in the first half, or whatever things that weren't working in the first half, were absolutely corrected in the second half. So I don't want to point anybody out just for the sake of saying, oh, here's my game is off award, when nobody really deserved it. So there you
Gee,
go.
thanks for throwing me under the bus.
I have two players, not because they played bad, but because there's certain tendencies from Riqui Puig that I don't like, with him receiving the ball so deep in our defensive side. So I might give it to either Mark Delgado or Gaston Bruma, because that should be them collecting the ball there in that defensive half and then distributing to Riqui Puig. But like I'm with you, Edgar. I don't think as a collective, I don't think we played bad. It was I think it was not a complete game, but it wasn't a game where I could be like, oh, this guy was bad or this guy was bad in particular.
Yeah, you needed a good collective effort against a team this good.
Yeah, I can't even say Vanny was bad, like horrible subs or the timing or stuff like that, I think
I'm about to give him his flowers. I'm about to give him his flowers.
Yeah,
but
that's another thing. Can we mention it? Because
Yeah,
at one point, I was talking to the people around me, and I was like, we're approaching the 67th minute, and I still haven't seen Vanny bring in anybody. And I was like, it's usually around this time of the game when he should bring in a sub. And literally at that moment, I saw the guys moving over, and I was like, oh, he's listening to us. He read our minds, and Vanny made the sub in the 74th minute, right? And which was good timing, because usually he sits on those subs and he waits too long. And yeah, Vancouver scored after that, but at least he got some fresh bodies in there. And in the end, we saw the end result.
Yeah, one of the subs gave him a goal. What more do you want to ask from somebody that you sub in with 20 to 25 minutes to go in the game?
Yeah.
With that being said, your honorable mention, you got Heartman Award. Edgar, let's go with you first.
Man, I said Joseph Paintsil. I know there's so many people that have already said, but I'm gonna say Joseph Paintsil because the timing on that goal for him to take off when he did and beat the trap, or right, and just absolutely cooked the Vancouver goalkeeper, and then being able to also get involved in that other goal. Man, this guy is incredible. People from around the league keep telling us Joseph Pinto is such an amazing player to watch. He's so much fun to watch. And then we're watching him and we're like, yeah, he's one of us. But we don't realize how fucking amazing he is.
Yeah. And we're still not convinced, right? People still have that PTSD where they don't want to give this other guy credit to say that.
Nah,
that
man.
right?
Start giving these guys credit,
Yeah,
man.
we need to. This team is good. LA Galaxy fan base. PSA. The LA Galaxy is a very solid team in the West.
Yes.
Tony, your honorable mention, you got Heartman Award.
You got heart. I'm gonna say the goalkeeper.
Yup.
I'm gonna say Mr. McCarthy.
Yes.
Yeah, he deserves it, man. Because
Yes.
In the second half, man, boy, did he have he saved so many great balls, dude. That
Oh,
could have easily changed the dynamic of the game. It could have been, I don't know, a 2-1 game or something. But he saved so many balls, and yeah, dude, like if he keeps playing like this, man, oh, dude, we're solid, dude. Like everybody's playing their part.
Do you guys remember a goalie by the name of? Exactly. Nobody knows. Jonathan who? Yeah, this is the thing. I know we were very enamored with a Jonathan Bond just because he had won every game. John McCarthy has 3, 4 in multiple games.
Yeah.
This keeper may not be a stellar keeper or world class, but he is exactly what the LA Galaxy needs at this moment. And he has been more than serviceable this season.
Yes, sir.
So because of that, I will agree with Tony. That'll be my honorable mention. And let me check the saves that he had. This man had 6 saves.
Yeah, he had an amazing kick save at one point that stopped one of the Vancouver players that was trying to break through all the way to the goal. And he had this kick save, which is perfect in Vancouver because kick save is one of the plays that hockey goalkeepers use often. Yeah, so nice kick save there.
Yeah, and dude, John McCarthy has been a great addition to the Galaxy. And of course, we're going to get to the next standing player of the match. I think we probably will all agree of this one player who keeps getting trashed and dragged on social
the
media.
Vancouver fans agree. Even the one LAFC fan I met up here agrees.
But I'm only saying unanimous. But I want to hear you guys, Tony.
Yeah, no, I think I'm gonna disagree with you guys, but I'm gonna go with Paintsel. I think Paintsel was man of the match, dude. Man of the match. He scored one, assisted one. What else do you want from this guy? And according to the MLS.com or the MLS in general, they're putting him as a runner-up for the MVP of the year. So we'll see.
Go, Edgar. Next standing player of the match.
Riqui Puig. Riqui Puig, the by popular demand from the Vancouver fans, from the one Lev I ran into up here. I mean, they all agree like this guy is something special. When he's on, he's on. When he's on, man. And he's definitely on yesterday, that second half. Our good friend Nathan Durrick said so. His co-host said so. The whole city of Vancouver bowed down to him yesterday. Riqui Puig.
Yeah, I cannot disagree with that. I know there's a lot of banter and a lot of back and forths on the internet about Riqui Puig, but in this particular game against Vancouver, who is a really good team. Let's not discredit them. I know we beat them 3-1 and it seemed convincingly, but it wasn't convincingly. The LA Galaxy had to work for those 3 goals. And those 3 goals, 2 of them came from Riqui Puig. That mind of his was put to work. And like I said earlier, those front 3, along with Riqui Puig, put on their hard hats on and said, let's go to work. It was a grind. And a 3-1 may not seem like it, but it was a grind. And the LA Galaxy prevailed and got 3 points. And oh my God, it's so cold up here. It's so cold up here. Oof. Hace frío en la cima. Oh my God. Que friazo, nombre. The LA Galaxy get 3 points away. And what better way to get it than in the icy lands of Vancouver? All right, boys, let's get into some questions from our listeners. And I have a lot of questions, actually. No, we don't. Maybe a couple. All right. From GK13. Because they the 2s and we the 1.
The 1.
Logan Jones, in your guys' mind, where do we sign 2 open spots on? A U22 striker or the high TAM striker? No striker, sir. We have Dejan Jovic. Y'all need to bail the fuck out with trying to bring another striker. I think we're good with
shore
Dejan.
up the defense, man.
Yeah, just somebody to replace Barry, if anything.
And I think that's facts. Robert Cifuentes. Cheers, boys. Take a shot or drink because we are back. Let's fucking go. P.S.
Yep.
Fuck JV. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Through the moral lens, with the summer transfer coming up, who do you think the Galaxy is willing to let go? Ooh.
Remember when that was a question where we were asking, people were saying, if Jovic isn't playing well by the end of April, let him go. If Vanny isn't doing well as a manager, let him go. And I was like, no. Just wait into the summer, right? But right now, if you had to make your choice right now, how do you feel about those 2 fellas?
Keep them both. Well, I think we might need a little bit of help. And I understand that our center backs are veterans and they bring a different dimension and maybe a different mindset to what it is to defend in the back line. But I think we need help there. Our left back, Julian Alde, is not bad. Mickey Yamane on that right side is not bad. I think we need that help in
Yaman
the
is
middle.
amazing, dude.
Yeah, he's very good. A questionable slide last week, which we discussed that. But aside from that, you could tell that he's been a right back all his life. Yoshida as a center back is solid, but putting him alongside another aging player like that may not work in the long run just because of health issues, and maybe there's, some speedier teams that could get on us. But even then, Jalen Neal and Mito Garces, who the LA Galaxy just signed, if we could get these two guys implemented somehow, I think we probably don't need to make many changes to this team, to be honest.
I mean, how long before we actually get to see the new right back play? I mean, the center back play.
Hopefully soon. We haven't got any details on that. I know the LA Galaxy hasn't put any details. I know Corner of the Galaxy is usually the first ones to have details on that. I haven't listened to any other new.
I mean, nothing's come out yet. Nobody said anything yet.
Okay.
But we're guessing it'll probably be this week because, the next match, this match is in the rear view. We're looking forward now, and we're going to take on some really, really depressed Smurfs, man. They're in bad shape.
Yeah, we got to kick them while they're down, man.
Yeah.
It's time gotta make Smurfberry juice with them, man. They're in bad shape. They're bad.
El Jonita. Edgar, are we
Yes.
back now?
We're back, baby. We're getting there. We're definitely getting there. We're back at something good.
Raul the ref. J Mac easily MVP of the night behind Poos. This proves FC only won due to bullshit pens and fouls. Lovely. He also says, shout out to the traveling supporters and the G's at the Riot Squad watch party. Had a blast. Shout out. Ziggy, eat my dust. We are hornies, baby. Yes, we are. A lot of children will be made off of this day. Adam DC
Canadian children.
Galaxy Canadian children. Adam DC 25. Need to work on set pieces. Resilient result in bounce back game. McCarthy came up big, in my opinion. Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
And that does it for the questions. Thank you to everybody who has made questions and their thoughts. We thank you thoroughly.
And we got a third super chat, by the way.
Let's go. Let's get it.
Tony Crespo, he writes, cheers to being at the top.
Hey.
Hell yeah.
Hace frío en la cima. Boys, the LA Galaxy is the top of the league. Well, the top of the West, at least. This is it for our show. How are we feeling about being the top of the West? Does it feel weird? Am I tripping?
No, it's just something that we're just gonna have to really get used to.
Yeah.
And my only I don't know if it's a concern, right? But the only thing I really hope is that there's no letdown against San Jose. Like Tony said, you gotta kick them while they're down, man. And our good buddy Saz, who covers San Jose, he's been tweeting some pretty depressing stuff. Like earlier I think it was this morning or last night, he put something like "Darkness, my old friend." after watching the San Jose result, I was like, "Damn, chill out, dude."
Nah, we're gonna win that shit, dude.
I mean, they have these guys haven't even been able to get a draw right now. They're like 1 win, 7 losses, which is pretty rough. Like, damn. But we're gonna discuss that more in length with him and get his take on it. But from this vantage point though, from being at the top all the way to the bottom, it looks like a long way down. So
yeah, and I want to say that it does feel good to be back on top, but I also think the LA Galaxy as a whole right now, you know what? I want to give a lot of credit in this match against Vancouver to Greg Vanny. I know we've given him a lot of stuff on this show. Especially with his substitution patterns. In this match, I think Vanny outcoached Vanny. And he's learning from his own mistakes. And this is one of the matches that I think he completed from beginning to end. He did the right subs. He put the right lineup in there. Whatever he told him at halftime, whatever it was, we're at top of the league. We're at top of the West at least. And it feels good. It feels good for once. 2014 is such a long way to go, but we're here now. And let's move forward with that. Tony, any last thoughts?
We're gonna kill them damn Smurfs on Sunday, next Sunday. That's for sure, dude. I'm gonna just say it out loud. We're gonna win it 2-0, baby. Straight
Let's
up.
go.
Tony, you gotta say like Gargamel though.
What? How?
I hate those Smurfs. Man.
Well, yeah, no, we got it, dude. We got it this next Sunday, dude. We're just gonna keep climbing the mountain, dude. You know, there's no stopping from here. At least I don't think so.
Let's go. I love it. The LA Galaxy is the top. Now, that does it from us for News Across the Galaxy. Thank you to everybody who tuned in live. Of course, if you're listening to this to the audio version later, we encourage you to come to the live chats, to the live shows, get on the chats, banter with everybody. It's always a fun time. But aside from that, we thank you. It was actually our Nagaversary today. So shout out to everybody who has been messing with us throughout these whole years. And thank you guys for supporting us. I know it's a bunch of knuckleheads just talking their shit and going off about the LA Galaxy. But look, we're good now. So now you get the good News Across the Galaxy because we're happy.
We're international, baby.
We're international, baby. So that does it from me, Brian. You can find me as Brian Nags on Instagram and X. Edgar?
Yeah, you guys can find me on Instagram and X, Twitter as Edgar Nags. But before I go, I just want to say thanks to everybody that made this weekend so much fun. To all the traveling G's, to my buddy Marcos up here, who he's hosting me, so I really appreciate that. But yeah, to Nathan Durek and all the Vancouver fans who were just cool as fuck, man. You gotta understand, these Vancouver fans are pretty cool for the most part. Really appreciate it. If you guys can ever make the trip up to Vancouver, Canada, go get your passport. Just come up here. It's beautiful. It's an amazing place. It'll change your life. But yeah, thanks to everybody. Looking forward to another midweek show this week. We're gonna announce it soon, or hopefully we're gonna be able to have our good friend Saz on. And yeah, looking forward to next week, guys.
Tony?
Yeah, you could find me on Instagram under Tony the Reaper.
Chewy, if you want to give yours out.
You guys can find me as Travis J.A. Travis Ha on all my social media. It's pretty easy, pretty simple.
Thank you to everybody who tuned in. And as always, keep on nagging. Keep on nagging. We're on top of the West, baby.
Let's go.
Look at my little Canadian flip top. Bye-bye. Don't call me buddy, guy.
Call me guy, buddy.